Meghan Markle calls out Kill Bill for toxic stereotyping of Asian women, but Lucy Liu has often fought back against such a claim. That's like her claim to fame too, so that's she kind of.
Wait, did Kill Bill? Did they make another episode, or is she talking about this movie from 15 years ago?
The old one from 15 years ago. It's longer than 15 years ago now, I think.
How is this news?
On this.
I mean,
she's got a new podcast.
This was news to me. I didn't know that Meghan Markle even had a podcast of her own, but it's called Archetypes, and it's about like fighting the stigmas that have like pigeonholed women into certain
Who clicks on that?
roles or whatever. And then when I clicked on it, I was almost like disturbed because she sounds like a text-to-speech bot.
She's a Kamala Harris.
She is really creepy sounding.
Guys,
she sounds like a VTuber.
This podcast displaced Joe Rogan's.
What do you mean?
No
Just
way.
let that sink in.
Wait, what do
Top
you mean
of the chart
displaced
for
it?
like
Displaced
1
him on the
week?
charts.
Really?
Displaced
To this
him.
day?
I don't think so.
I hope it was
Queen
only with the
died.
premiere episode.
And because the Queen
because
died.
So
her
she's had
mother-in-law died, I guess.
she's had like big name guests, which I think definitely helps.
Remember when the Obamas had a podcast and they just never did it?
She did one with
That's great.
Didn't they
Mariah
pay him like
Carey.
$100 million to do that?
I don't know about $100 million, but I think it was like $50 million. But they paid the Obamas a bunch
They were
of
like,
money.
never
and
mind.
You know, like
I think
I'm busy.
Look,
Harry
folks,
and Meghan still have their own joint podcast, but it's less active than this new one that was started in August.
And they've got a movie coming out through Netflix that they're having second thoughts about because they like want stuff cut that Netflix doesn't want to cut.
Yeah.
Like relating
It's
to
like,
the family.
do you want to be the royal version of the Kardashians
They kind
or
of
not?
are.
Because there are trade-offs.
The
You
funny
gotta
thing
make
is like
them.
we lose out like on a lot of content not covering the royal. Holy crap, do people
We
love
have
the
covered the
royals.
royals a little bit, though.
But not a ton. Like there's like every time you go to Newsweek, it's just royals, top to bottom.
That's also just like the UK. That's what they're interested in.
Yeah, they love it. They love like there was one the other day. It's like it was like a breakdown of all the people that worked like guard at her funeral, and they were like going into profiles of them. I'm like, what the hell?
It's
So
cool
weird.
that they like the royals and rock stars, and they don't care about movie
Actors.
stars
Yeah.
at all. I think that's kind of
think that's
cool.
Well,
great.
plus all their movie stars come work here.
Clearly,
So-
the royals
6 of one,
are
half a
lame.
dozen the
At
other.
least Meghan Markle is extremely lame, and
worse
she
than
only
lame.
has publicity for this podcast because she invites mainstream celebrities on it.
She's
This
kind of a-
time, she invited Margaret Cho and Lisa Ling.
So let's take this quote. She says, movies like Austin Powers and Kill Bill presented these characters of Asian women as oftentimes over-sexualized or aggressive, Markle said. And it's not just those two examples. There are so many. This has seeped into a lot of our entertainment, but this toxic stereotyping of women of Asian descent, it doesn't just end when the credits roll. So, of course, they have to then prove to you somehow without giving any proof or giving any details back up that, a bunch of guys are then, like, every time they see an Asian woman, they're like, could you reenact a scene from Kill Bill? Like, what are they talking about? What do they mean seeped into the real world?
Well,
How's
one
Kill
of
Bill
the
the-
examples they gave is Margaret Cho said she was in an airport one time and they screamed that line from Full Metal Jacket at her.
Do you want to say it so that somebody can clip it?
No.
Do you want to say
Don't
it?
say it.
Me
Let's
so
not get, no.
Me love you long time.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Exactly.
They yelled that at her in an airport, which is annoying, but
Yes, it
also
is.
like that doesn't encompass all Asian women's real life experience.
Listen, if your movie is significant enough culturally that people are yelling lines from it at you, that is a W as
Yes.
far as I'm concerned. Let's
I mean,
just
that's
call it
not
what it
exact. I
is.
wouldn't.
I wouldn't
say
call it a
that one
W.
is
That
a-
wouldn't be a
Yes.
pleasant experience
I
for
don't.
me.
I would think. See, I'm like a contrarian person. I'd be like, ha, heck yeah, that's
It's
great. I
like
think
it's like
funny.
when I don't remember who the dude from the Counting Crows said he never understood why musicians get tired of playing the songs that made them famous. Like he's like, I don't get like why they grow. I understand. I get it. Like why they do. Like you grow disdain.
Alley
For,
Top Souls.
yes. Yeah. That nobody listening to this will have any clue.
foreign
what the hell you
language,
just
yeah.
said.
There's 4 people
But,
out there that know.
Yeah.
But the idea that you especially with music, because music is so emotionally resonant to like when you write a song, it obviously has meaning to it. So then to see it commercialized and then played over and over and over again, you feel
That
like
could
you're like it's being cheapened. But then also other people want to hear it, but you're like, I don't want to do that now. That's not all all of who I am. So I could see this actress being like, I'm more than just this line from this movie. But like you said, there is a point to be made that you've reached a large swath of people. You've had a huge impact on culture. You clearly cared enough. You didn't care enough about the line to not do the role.
I think they're realizing it had an unintended impact, and it's one they don't want anymore, but they're not really taking responsibility for the fact that they're the ones who allowed it to happen anyway.
Kill Bill had so much cultural appropriation from white people, and they're complaining about the one Asian person that made it in there.
What was
with
that
all
cultural
the Asian
appropriation?
Well, it was, all this martial arts stuff from, Chinese and Japanese culture.
That's I wouldn't buy that, because we're in a culture where like there's been a karate dojo in every town for like the last 100 years. I don't.
But they would just say like that's an example of mass cultural appropriation, and it's still wrong.
But then if you turn it on its head, and then you only allow the Asian characters to do martial arts, then you're stereotyping.
There's only one Asian person in the movie doing martial. Well, no, there's the Crazy 88, which there's not 88 of, but there's a lot of them. And they're all Asian.
There's obviously
that's
no
part
way
of the
to
story.
win.
They're going to
You cannot win in these situations. It's either cultural appropriation or it's stereotyping.
Exactly.
One or the other.
Right.
And they will use it, and they will use the excuse accordingly.
Right. That's exactly. They have it set up. This is classic. They do this all the time.
With everything.
If it was a movie where it was all white people doing martial arts, that would have been cultural appropriation. It would have been terrible. But because there was one Asian lady, then it's a stereotype.
We have Cobra Kai right
problem.
now. We have Cobra Kai, which is a majority white cast.
Very diverse. It's pretty diverse, but
it's still making use of these martial arts, which don't come from our culture.
There was definitely articles that mentioned that stuff, but those were they were always in the most.
They're drowned out by the fact that people have a genuine enthusiasm for the Karate Kid franchise, and they love this spin-off.
It's a well done show.
They're bringing it back too in a movie form, not connected to the.
Which I dislike. I dislike this idea, because if you do a spin-off right one time, just leave it alone.
Just stick with it.
Maybe they bring back Jaden Smith, and
they have no affiliation with Cobra Kai. It just doesn't make sense.
They bring back Jaden Smith, and he beats up Kanye West.
If you reboot it and it works, just stick with the reboot.
So Teen Vogue published an essay titled "Hollywood Played a Role in Hypersexualizing Asian Women," in which writer India Roby defined the Dragon Lady as cunning and deceitful, and a character who uses sexuality as a powerful tool of manipulation. Again, I ask, is that bad?
That same article's author said the oversimplified depiction of Asian identity has a deep-rooted history of racism and violence. Often, pop culture has portrayed Asian women as incompetent and fragile foreigners, exotic femme fatales, and subservient quote-unquote mail-order wives.
Lucy Liu is not incompetent and fragile in that movie.
Those things.
No. Also, I want to point out that there's only so much runtime in a movie. You cannot flesh out literally you don't remember when we were talking about the PA who felt that she didn't get enough recognition on her TV show that she was working on? You don't have enough time in the day, or enough time in the script, or enough time in the movie's runtime to flesh out every character perfectly so that it doesn't fit into some trope. If that was true, not all evil businessmen would be old white guys now, but they are. But that's fine. That's what the trope is. It's a trope. It's fine. You don't have the time to flesh out every character perfectly. That's just the way it is.
Can I read this next part? Because
Yes.
I kind of have a little point to make here. Kill Bill features 3 other female professional killers in addition to Ishii. Why not call Uma Thurman, Vivica A. Fox, or Daryl Hannah a Dragon Lady? Lou asked. I would say that you're looking at this backwards. You're trying to look at this as if you're a victim, because you could look at this as, I have this special secret superpower. I am a Dragon Lady. Daryl Hannah is not. Uma Thurman is not. None of them can be. I'm different. Like, I have this extra oomph because you could view it as like people appreciating your nationality instead of being like, it's all racism. It's the end of the world. I feel like they have a bone to pick with Quentin Tarantino too, a little bit, because he's done the whole Chet Hanks thing with the feminists. Like, he's been very straightforward about what he's not going to be doing.
There was a panel they did for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where somebody's like, why doesn't Margot Robbie have any speaking lines in this? He's like, nope, next.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not answering your stupid question.
I loved it.
Margot Robbie's also faced scrutiny for being in Amsterdam that like after her part in Bombshell, which is meant to expose the predatory behavior of Fox News executives, she's now starring in a movie that's directed by a man who's had a lot of allegations thrown at him as well, and they're saying she's hypocritical for that. And like similar to that situation, I think it's kind of unfair to Margot Robbie and to Lucy Liu for similar reasons, that you're asking for them to come up with a defense for themselves over. I mean, is Lucy Liu responsible for the stereotypes that people take from a movie like that she played in? Is she responsible to defend that movie?
Well, here's another thing.
If anything, it should be the people who wrote those lines.
Right. And this is where Hollywood shoots themselves in the foot. Did Margot Robbie have a strong opinion? What was the name of the movie you said that she
Bombshell.
did? Okay, did she have a strong opinion about that movie, saying we're changing history and we're speaking
truth
to
probably
power?
If asked, yes.
So because they put themselves in this position where they get up on their soapbox, then you get to hold them to that same standard when they choose not to.
Yep.
If they didn't put themselves up on the soapbox, and I can't confirm or deny, I don't know whether Margot Robbie got up on the soapbox when she did that role, but like you cannot expect someone who never got up on that soapbox to have to all the time. But you can at least ask that question of somebody if they have before, but they do that to themselves.
Soapboxing in marketing for a movie aside, take the movie isolated from all of the marketing and the press and judge it for what it is.
Yeah.
That, if that isn't making some kind of claim about a large swath of people, then I don't think that the actress in question should have to answer for it.
But they always want to equate this stuff
impact,
out to larger societal consequences, which not everything has to be that. It's Mary's favorite quote. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be that deep.
Yeah.
But because they can't help but virtue signal, that's where we end up, and that's a problem.
So she goes on to say, I can only conclude that it's because they are not Asian. That is incorrect. That is not the only thing you can conclude. You are not a weak, helpless woman. You could make up your own mind and you could be like, yeah, I do have this super cool special superpower. She goes on, I could have been wearing a tuxedo and blonde wig, but I still would have been labeled a dragon lady because of my ethnicity. If I can't play certain roles because mainstream Americans still see me as other, and I don't want to be cast only in typically Asian roles because they reinforce stereotypes, I start to feel the walls of the metaphorical box we AAPI women stand in.
Well, she did get to play a white guy in the show Elementary, so
there you go. I want to know how much Lucy Liu is worth.
That's my favorite. Like, the funny thing is, I love her as an actress. So
yeah, she's very talented.
I don't know how I feel about her opinions here, but I know that she's an extremely gifted actress. She's also in one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Lucky Number 11 with Josh Hartnett.
$16 million, and she's talking about oppression. Please,
they will always
spare me. It can never dry up. They have to constantly go back to it because this is their bread and butter.
I just looked into the comments Margot Robbie has made about Bombshell, and to my knowledge, I don't see her being soapboxy about it, even though that's a clear opportunity to do so.
She's very controlled.
She said about the movie that it's a political thriller, but not so much about politics. It's ultimately about people coming together to take down a very powerful person who is abusing that power.
Stop! I can only get so aroused.
Okay, that's a very satisfying thing to watch. That's great. Like it's a very good cold and clinical explanation of what it's about.
That's how every person who makes a movie, like I don't care if you're making a movie about the J6 trials. I wanted to be like, it's a political thriller, but it's mostly about people. It's about loss and struggle
and the friends we made along the way.
And orange hair that we made, and the orange hair we cut along the way. Yeah. The orange skin we
love it.
We spray tanned along the way. Like that answer she gave, that should be taught to actors on the type of here they're gonna tempt you. Here's the evil reporter with the bag of candy, except the candy is an opportunity for you to say something stupid and grandiose. Don't do it. They reach out and they put the candy bag out there. You slap the bag away. You do not do it.
Men are terrible. Do you agree?
Slap it.
Exactly.
It's all about people.
Too many conflicts of interest in Hollywood and too many narcissists with like fragile egos. You cannot be, like in an interview, you can't be baited into burning bridges like that.
I remember Gal Gadot had a similar thing where it's Gadot.
Is that really how it's pronounced?
Gadot.
That's what he says.
I
trust him.
Fact check him.
I'm not gonna.
He dares us.
I've had to go through and look at the videos for the pronunciation. It's how she pronounces it. Okay, so there was a video where they're talking about Wonder Woman and feminism. She's like, well, I don't really think it's just about girls. She's like, it's about boys can. She clearly made it about not just the girls, but also boys might want to go watch this movie too. Hey,
I respect
crazy
her
idea.
Despite her stupid singing video, I still respect it.
Yes. So. It's just one of those things where it's like, to me, we'll never get rid of the virtue signaling.
Yeah,
but we can reward the Margot Robbies of the world who make the Barbie movie and don't virtue signal.
Yeah, like you don't need to cater to any like anti-woke audience. You don't need to be conservative. You just need to not shut up when it's smart to shut up and not be preachy.
And I'm sure she said she's probably said something.
They've all said something.
But I appreciate the effort. I do. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.